Hi everyone, DNP Alyce here. If you remember in our last video, we had talked about not getting sick. Today we're going to talk about what if you do get cough, cold, flu, and you don't feel well. And we're going to talk about all the various things you can try for 24 to 48 hours at home to see if you can get better without going to urgent care and being told you don't qualify for antibiotics and you just need to go home and rest. So it's expensive $200 to be told that, especially if you have one of these high deductible insurances where your copay is $150. Seriously, that's not insurance. You might as well just pay for the visit yourself. A quick reminder today about oral care. Oral care and hand washing, two most important preventative things you can do to keep yourself from getting sick. I was going to just go over the order I like to do things. I like to brush. I use toothpaste. I use many brands, as much whitening as I can get because I drink coffee. And then I floss. And after that is when I do my mouth rinse. And I prefer a really burny, miserable one that's killing all the germs. We're going to move on to congestion because this is what everyone comes in for. And the CDC and the Infectious Disease Society of America have said that up to 10 days of sinus pressure is normal and 90% of the time it's viral. So no matter when you come and say that this started, if you don't have obvious signs of a sinus infection, you're not going to get antibiotics. So we need to prevent the sinus pain from going further. So for 24 hours, you can use a spray. You can use this up to 3 days, but there are some people who've become so dependent on it opening their airway that they've actually necrosed the vessels inside of their nose. So don't let that be you. No more than 3 days of using this. This is also good for a nosebleed. I'll quickly show you that. You would take either a piece of tissue, or what I have next to me is this cotton ball. Okay, I got it open. So you're going to spray it a couple of times to make sure, see how it gave a mist finally, and then you're going to squirt that all over until it's wet. And what it does is it's a vasoconstrictor, which is how the necrosis happens. You're going to roll it up and shove it up as high as you can where you think the nosebleed is. Isn't that great? And just leave it there for an hour and then take it out gently, wet it if you have to, and if you don't rebleed, nosebleed solved. This is after you've held pressure, done some ice, some things like that. If your nose rebleeds, it could be further back in and might need a little bit of cautery. And that's when you could proceed to urgent care, but you could certainly try the nasal spray first. Okay, so good for sinus pressure and clearing, up to 3 days, and good for nosebleeds. I recommend at the beginning of any illness, you check your temperature. A high temperature very quickly, feeling like you've been hit by a bus and you were feeling a little sick in the morning and you're dead by 5, that is almost always flu. And whether you decide, okay, I'm going to ride it out, or no, I want the Tamiflu, I'm going to go. So Tamiflu is by prescription only. And so if you have good insurance, you can go get on the Tamiflu. It reduces symptoms. If you're diabetic, asthmatic, overweight, older, Tamiflu is recommended. For kids and healthy adults, it's just going to be a rough 24 to 48 hours. That's all I'm going to say about that. So what are you going to do in those 24, 48 hours? I really like cough, cold, and flu formulas because you can just take ibuprofen, Aleve, or NSAIDs alone. So this one has ibuprofen, it has a nasal decongestion, and then it also has an antihistamine, and it's going to help with the headache, the fever, the body aches, the sinus pressure, just generally feeling like crap. Now, there is one thing that becomes very important unless you live all alone, and that is washing your hands. So everything you touch, you are infecting with your illness. And this is how COVID flu, all these various things, like one member of the family gets sick and then everybody gets sick. Well, kids, what's the first thing that a kid likes to do when they get sick? They like to crawl up on their mom and dad and give them the illness so that they can feel better. So staying away from people, staying in your room, and then washing your hands, this is going to help reduce the spread. And by reducing the spread, you don't get others sick. There's a couple of other things that I really like. So I like to put this, when I'm congested, I put this under my nose. I'll put this anywhere because it opens and it makes me feel better. And just smelling the mentholatum tells me that, yeah, my nose is not going to be stuffed forever.